This is the Dog Savant Podcast with your host, Brett Endies.
Hey everyone, this is Brett, and this is the Dog Savant Podcast. I am your host. This is episode 19 already. So today I'm going to answer some of your questions. I've been getting tons of them. Any of you who has watched today, you're probably listening, it's Monday, but today, Thursday, we did a live Q&A on the Untrainables channel. We had so many questions. It was awesome. I answered as many as I could in the time we had. I'll try to answer, again, as many of your guys' questions. My whole point of this is to help as many dog owners as possible get things on the level and get their problems resolved for their dogs so they can have a nice, harmonious life. So let's see. Before we get into that, let me talk about some business. Oh, and if you notice, we're back in the normal home front here. Jordan is back. We're doing our normal podcast. The past few have been either audio only or you've seen me in my car, which we'll do some of them in the future too. We're going to have some guest formats. Tried that today. Didn't work out so well, so we're going to try further in the future. We'll do some of those as well with some other people on the show. So anyway, let me see. Oh, business. And we have a sponsor. Yes, Wild Zora Foods. I don't have any kind of script or nothing, but they make great paleo food. They make freeze-dried food. They make paleo snacks. I use it for camping and backpacking and just every day because I like to eat healthy. It's really great. I've got a 20% coupon code for anyone who orders. It's Wild Zora Foods, WILDZORA Foods, FOODS.com. Please, I think that's your website. And the code is the Dog Savant, THEDOGSAVANT, and you will get 20% off your first order from Wild Zora. Thank you so much, guys. You're our first sponsor. Thank you for believing in what I'm doing. And let's move on to the actual podcast here. Let's see. Oh, and watch the Untrainables every Saturday. New episode. We have a good one coming up this week. So let's jump in. Wendy, I'm going to say Wendy C. Okay, so this is someone who sent me a message. Yes, I'm based out of California. Okay, we have an Italian Shepherd, 2.5, who's now gone through 2 training courses. Never had problem training a dog until this one. When she's on leash, she's perfect. Off leash is a different story. When I tell her to come, she doesn't listen to me unless she wants to. LOL, I think she's bipolar or something, or say she's bipolar or something, but I can't get her to obey me. It's not so much bipolar as much as dogs are animals of opportunity, and if they've learned that when off leash or the commands or maybe when you teach them they work under controlled conditions or when there's no other option, where I would recommend having commands be more of her way of getting through her day, even using commands just here and there around the house. Practice more with a long line off leash. You want to build some real consistency dropping the long line so you can pick it up and still follow through the recall. Max it out, I call it. Get it as far developed as you can with any kind of obvious control where the dog might know you have that obvious control, but they still might make a mistake or two. So now you've maxed it out. Now you're like, well, sink or swim. My dog still knows the difference. Then you may want to look into a remote collar. They call them an e-collar, shock collar. They're not really shocking a dog, but they do give a dog the proper stimulation if they've been conditioned to a certain response, like you've worked on the recall, maxed it out, and you just want to get the dog conditioned to listen beyond the leash if they're smart enough to sense the difference, and phasing them out of it is very challenging. And you want to put some time in that phase out. So if you don't do that, it's really cheating. It might be unfair to the dog to use the e-collar. They don't hurt the dog if you use them properly. They're a low-level stimuli. They're the same as the TENS collar that you get at the chiropractor or at the physical therapist. They'll put it on you. It's a muscle stimulator. And if you do teach the dog, you do not need to crank it up to get a response to correct them not listening to the desired response. And there's plenty of, videos, and I do episodes on the recall. Last episode of the Untrainables was on the recall as well. So you want to develop a very strong association when you're teaching it or redeveloping or maxing it out. I would work on adding a very high value treat as well. I'm just kind of brainstorming here some of the things you might be missing, so your dog may not recognize the difference whether or not they're on or off leash, or the incentive to listen off leash is great enough to offset impulses. And with that said, one last note is you want to make sure that you get out there and proof the training. So if your dog might recall where it's, like I said before, controlled, you might want to go work around busy distractions, especially the strongest ones, and get them more used to listening, even if it is controlled with the leash, just to get some kind of better response. Then in time you might get it better, to be reliable off leash. Hope that helps there. Keep your questions coming here. Let me know how that goes. Send video. Also, I want you to send me some video questions. I'd like to see what you got going on there. All right, let's see here. Sorry I sound distracted or look distracted. I'm trying to read and keep this going at the same time. You can tell I'm very excited today. You can't see, but we're doing a lot of work in my house. It's totally getting redone. Oh, here's someone. So what's the best way to learn how to train? That's a good question, because today's been mostly dog training questions. Everyone's asking me, their specific questions about their dogs and the problems they're having. This is someone who I assume they want to know how do you get into what I do. So I always say you have to have a passion for dogs. Of course, you have to love them, but you also have to have a connection with them. I don't think it's something you can just read a book or take an online course or even apprentice with someone. It's something that you have to just have like a way with dogs, and then you evolve it, right? By apprenticing, going to school, educating yourself. So what I would recommend is look to any kind of experienced dog trainer who you can either work for free, apprentice with, shadow. A lot of good trainers have shadow programs where you could stay with them for a period of time. You can certainly read plenty of books and take online courses, but I would say the best would be hands-on from somebody who's very experienced, does the kind of training that you see yourself doing in the future, whether it be problem behavior work like I do, even just trick training, whatever it is. There's a lot of areas in dog, scent work, protection work. There's a lot of areas. So, you want to kind of get that foundation. I think the real most, common way to make a living at this is pet dog training, where you deal with, like I do, the problem behaviors or basic obedience stuff, or puppy training. But, look into it. There are some good trainers who do shadow programs. Who knows? I may do one in the future. But, it's a lot of experience. You're going to make some mistakes. You're going to embarrass yourself. You're going to maybe not do as well as you could now. But with those mistakes, if you learn, keep an open mind, a lot of humility, learn from the dogs. Don't think you have it figured out. I think a lot of the new trainers, a lot of younger trainers have been told that everything they're doing is great, and they're not critical enough, or haven't apprenticed with someone who's a little bit more critical to them like I was. I worked with a guy who was an old Vietnam war dog, military dog trainer. So it was not so sunshine and roses when we were doing our training, to teach me how to do what I did, and I shadowed him for a period of time. So do that, get out there. Let me know how it goes, maybe I'll see you one day putting some videos out there, doing some good work. And there's a lot of dogs that need it. So anyone that, is out there and training dogs and getting the job done, more power to you. All right, that's from, did I say your name? That's from Vic. All right, Vic. So let's see who else we've got here in the messages. Okay, this is from Russ. Okay, Brett, I've got a pair of the most amazing foxhounds ever. We have a close bond and want to hone the trust. They have a huge drive for hunting, tracking, and a tendency to get in the way of the training. Another dog that gets distracted when they're supposed to listen. On top of that, they try to quote-unquote hunt as a team, so they feed into each other. I'd like to eventually be able to walk them without a leash, without them trying to kill every small woodland creature they see. Any advice? That's hard because these dogs do have a prey drive. So I would work on impulse control. You would want to, first of all, teach them a good heel. So once you're walking in those environments where they're more hypervigilant, they're a little less quick to react. Then when you see things like a squirrel or any other kind of trigger, even new interactions with people or new things up ahead where they get a little over projected, they want to forge ahead a little too soon, have them sit, have them focus, even lay down, and just hold their moment and reward them for making that calmer, longer duration, focus based on a command to replace some of that impulse. It's a hard one, though, so you may have to correct some behaviors. Like I talked about before with the e-collar, those are also good for correcting behaviors that you've taken the time to develop a clear understanding of what's expected and not. So I don't recommend using it right away. A lot of trainers may disagree, but I think if you take time to teach it and the dog's doing good, like the other dog, if it's off leash, that impulse gets the best of them. correcting with a remote collar can help, get your dog, especially if it's not safe, like rattlesnake deterrent training. They have, these people that come and say, how do they do it so quickly? They're using e-collars. And, it's controversial. I don't think it is the best first route of training, but they are useful in cases where something can save a dog's life, and it's still humane and not causing any kind of long-term harm or damage. I can't see any issue with that, at least from my point of view. Okay, so let me see. Hope that answers your question. So just to recap, I always want to do a reiteration. Sometimes I get a little off track, guys. You want to make sure that you walk your dog in these situations where you're going to encounter these distractions in a very structured way to almost prevent the impulse. And then when you see it, ideally first, redirect them into more stationary command like sitting or down and hold their attention. Even while they can see the distraction, they are filtering it without that kind of wanting to go type of thing getting the best of them. And then reward it when they're being more calm and focus on what you want them to do as a replacement. Okay, hope that helps, Russ. Yeah, you want to go on hikes. And I would do your first hikes. I do hike with my dogs almost every day. Do it on a leash at first, and then slowly. And watch out for any kind of things like rattlesnakes. And, just your dog should stay with you on the trail, whether you're on leash or not. All right, okay. I always like to give you my last 2 cents here. Okay, here's one. Oh, this is someone just saying hi. Faith. Hi, Faith. Hi back. Okay, right?
Hey, Faith.
Hey. All right, this is from Kylie T. Hi, Kylie. You just sent this one recently. Cool. Hi. My 3-year-old Amstaff gets anxiety being in the car and does not stay where I put him and even gets himself out of the collar or harness and goes frantic. What can I do so he will be more calm? Thank you. So what I would do is, at least if you can put some time in, teach your dog a place command in the car, right? You may still want to use this harness because I don't love a dog being free in the car without some kind of physical restraint in case you stop short or there's an accident. But you do want to teach your dog to be calm and focused. So the place gives them that ability to kind of hone their mind into that one spot that you want them to be at. It's like their little job. I would, of course, have you do it when you're just parked in the driveway. Don't be driving or have someone in the back seat helping so you're not distracted. With time, you should be able to build that into more, casual where you're driving and the dog can just hold their place and feel calm and offset, that anxiety or that overstimulation related to the movement and the anxiety of where they're headed because they know the car rides lead to something. You can also, and for safety's sake, I always love a good, secure, very solid crate. There's tons of companies now that make very well-built crates, kennels, whatever you want to call it, or even like a safety if you have an SUV or something where you can have that gate where the dog it's a physical deterrent, and sometimes that will get a dog to just chill out because when they can't move around and scan an environment, a lot of dogs will just accept it and be calm. Now, you want to look and see if your dog has any kind of anxieties unrelated to the car that might not be as inconvenient, but the dog may be, you always hear me talk about it, tracking, anticipating, clinging to life too much, overreacting to things when they shouldn't get so extreme about the little things of life. There may need some structure, be a requirement for some structure in the house and the whole place training spiel that you hear me. I mean, today on the live Q&A, I think 90% of the questions, the answers led to place training, structured walking, leadership, more focus, less impulses, driving them to get their same needs met for an everyday life because these dogs tend to be wired in that way, and it just benefits them to make calmer, more present, conscious choices instead of the overreactive, unconscious ones. Okay, let's see. I'm trying to get these things going here quick here, guys. And
good questions, everyone.
Yeah, really good questions. I like them. Send those videos. I think it'll be cool if I actually can get like a dog face to a behavior. I can give you even really more specifics so I can see what your dogs are doing. So send that. But yeah, I'm excited. The live thing, just as a side thing, we did the live today. I mean, there were thousands of people logging in, watching. There were so many questions. We couldn't get to all of them, but it was so great. I mean, for me to be able to now share all this information with you guys, I want you to apply it. Let me know how it works. Even some people's questions I'm answering. I told you before, give me some feedback. Let me know how it's going after some time. There might be some troubleshooting we have to do. This is really cool. Oh, there's one more I want to answer before we finish. We're going to do more. I think there's going to be a lot of just Q&A only podcasts, and I try to do it in other forms. We do videos and all that too. Someone's been asking, I hope you see this because I'm going to take the time to answer this. If a dog has killed, will it kill again, or can it be trusted to not kill again? Because you asked a few times. You wanted to know if this is the case. And, I don't know. First of all, I don't know. What are you talking about killing? Killing another animal or another dog? Another animal, that's sometimes their job to do. And unless you teach some of the impulse control or skills of correcting the behaviors like I'm talking about, that might be hard to trust when they're on their own. Another animal, sometimes, it depends on what's stake. I've met dogs that very consciously or inadvertently had killed another dog and can be rehabbed to be, look, they're an animal, so you can't 100%, but you can get from 0% to high 90s where under controlled conditions. And I'm not saying that look, there's a lot of controversy. If a dog does something, there's other dogs that do less problematic behaviors that deserve a shot at getting rehab if there's X amount of time and resources for that. And a dog that's killed, why even bother? So I'm just saying from my experience, not judgment, no personal opinion. I talk about the numbers very pragmatically because I'm just in the trenches doing this. Let me get a drink here. I'm so thirsty, guys. Sorry. Okay, much better. So a dog can be helped and improved upon their behavior, but what I personally trust, I'm talking from what I've seen, I wouldn't leave them alone with another dog, but I wouldn't not trust their ability to improve their tolerance for another dog. If you wanted to keep this dog from having to be euthanized or whatnot under very controlled conditions, you could rehab it to a point where, hey, it may its whole life act trustworthy, but I myself would always keep an eye on things, even if it was still some free interacting, because you can rehab dogs to that level. But you always got to be careful if the dog's shown that they're willing to go to that side. There's got to be a reason for it, so the others have to see. It's case by case. This is a hard one to answer, but I figured I'd answer. And please, if it's just the dog killed an animal, well, then we have to talk about offsetting prey drive or whatever the circumstance was. Anyway. Going off topic, so let's see. Thank you so much for anyone that's watching this, listening to this. We're doing iTunes. Every Monday we're trying to put an episode up. We have a YouTube version. If you're watching me, thank you for bearing with me being distracted here on my phone reading these questions. And just subscribe, share. My Patreon, I forget about I have a Patreon. Patreon, it's the Dog Savant is the name of the page on patreon.com. New episode again of the Untrainables this Saturday. And thank you so much. Episode 19. And don't forget our sponsor, Wild Zora Foods, code the Dog Savant. And thank you. Train your dog.